think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley, talked to Bob Woodward for the journalist's new book, and he did not mince words. He said, quote, "I had suspicions when I talked to you about his mental decline and so forth, but now I realize he's a total fascist. He is now the most dangerous person to this country, a fascist to the core."
General Mark Milley, who was appointed by Donald Trump to serve as his most senior military advisor, told Bob Woodward that Donald Trump is the most dangerous man in America today. Milley joins a long list of Republicans and former Republicans, many of whom worked directly with President Trump, who are saying publicly that not only is he unfit for the presidency, he represents a threat to our democracy. We've talked about that here before. A lot of us on this network have been saying it for years. But there has been a shift lately in how the MAGA faithful, Trump's most ardent supporters, talk about what is going to happen should he be reelected. I have experienced this personally. I'm not deluding myself. I am nowhere near the top of the list of people that a second Trump administration would target. I'd honestly be flattered if I were even on that list. But I get my share of hate mail and the occasional threat. I actually have a folder labeled threats. But the vast majority of these are from MAGA morons venting from their basements saying I need to watch my back. I don't take it too seriously. There will always be haters, and most of them are cowards anyway. But lately, there's been a new kind of threat. I still get the random comments over social media saying, watch your back, traitor. But added to those are more specific warnings about what is going to happen to Trump's critics should he retake the White House. Let me share with you the most recent example from my threats folder. I'm not going to show you who sent this because I don't want to give them the satisfaction, but the implication is clear. The sender is telling me that even as a member of the media, that's underlined in red, I am subject to the death penalty, presumably for treason, should Trump return to office and should he launch trials to prosecute his critics. Again, I'm not their priority. I'm not overly concerned. But people like Mark Milley should be. I don't know him personally, but I know other flag officers and former Trump officials for whom threats like this are a daily occurrence. By speaking out, these people are risking everything.
We're learning from new reporting by Bob Woodward that Milley is afraid of being court-martialed if Donald Trump wins re-election in 25 days.
Mark Milley isn't the Chicken Little type. And if he's telling people that the sky is falling, we should listen. If you think I'm blowing this out of proportion, just pay attention to how Trump's supporters talk, or take a look at my threats folder and tell me I'm making this up. Here's an event headlined by Mike Flynn, Donald Trump's former national security advisor, where he fields a question about Trump executing his political enemies when he's back in office.
First, General, thank you for your service and what you had to endure. Is there any chance that should the election go in a positive result, you would get your rank reinstated and sit at the head of a military tribunal to not only drain the swamp, but imprison the swamp, and on a few occasions, execute the swamp?
What your sentiment is about is accountability. Okay? Accountability. The people that we have serving in our government right now are not serving, they're serving themselves. And so we need accountability. I definitely believe we need accountability. I mean, there is a way to get after this, but we have to win first. I'm about winning. We have to win. And these people are already up to no good. So we got to win first. We win, and then Katie bar the door. Okay? Believe me, the gates of hell, my hell, will be unleashed.
I hope you heard what Mike Flynn said there at the end. We have to win, and then the gates of hell will be unleashed. There are a lot of fringe figures on the MAGA extremes that talk tough and make these kinds of threats. Mike Flynn is an extremist, but he's not a fringe figure. He is at the center of Trump's movement and will almost certainly have a senior role in a second Trump term. Here's another close Trump ally and associate of Mike Flynn, Ivan Raiklin, who calls himself Trump's Secretary for Retribution.
I have a deep state target list, and I'm coming for all of them. And what does that mean when I say coming for all of them? It means the most legal, moral, and ethical consequences to the maximum, to include the maximum punishment for treason. I personally guarantee that they're going to face those consequences. And you can take a look at that list. Expect to see live stream swatting raids of every single individual on that deep state target list, because the precedence has already been set. There's 80,000 of us that are ready, willing, and able, in order to be deputized by appropriate sheriffs throughout the country, to be participants as lawful deputies to conduct live stream swatting raids of every single person that we can identify that conducted the necessary unlawful activity by county on my deep state target list. The individuals that I mentioned are the enemy of our constitutional order. We're coming for them maximally. And how we're coming for them is because we are engaging with counties and states in order to crush them. It's legal, moral, ethical. I said it was peaceful and patriotic. It may not be peaceful for them, but for me, it'll be peaceful.
It's Ken Harbaugh. Quick break here to remind everyone, if you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast version of this show, please do. The link is below. And don't forget to rate and review. It makes a huge difference in how the algorithm ranks shows. Thanks for the support. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. Here's how it works. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Metabolic health is one of the keys to overall well-being. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, etc. Lumen gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health. So, if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/boats to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/boats for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. What worries me most is how this rhetoric of retribution has been adopted by MAGA extremists. When this kind of idea takes hold, it takes on a life of its own. When political violence becomes acceptable, there's no way to bottle it back up, even if Trump and others wanted to. It's enough to make Mitt Romney scared for the safety of his family.
I sense real fear in Milley expressing that he's worried about being court-martialed, and even in his fear, there's fear at the heart of saying that the man who might be president is a total fascist to the core. And it feels like other people people who have come out against Donald Trump are afraid of him. I mean, I think there's you're reporting that Romney is also concerned about Trump going after him. I think he has shown by his prior actions that you can take him at his word. Romney told me, his voice suddenly subdued. So I would take him at his word. I mean, talk to me about that tone of voice and what you're hearing in Romney as it pertains to fear.
Yeah, that moment happened in a conversation I had with him earlier this year when I kind of asked him point blank, what do you think it'll mean for you and your life and your family if Donald Trump is reelected, given his promise of retribution against his political enemies? And he at first kind of tried to demur, and he said, well, I don't know. But once I really got him talking about him and pressed him on it, he kind of admitted, look, I've got 25 grandkids. I've got five sons, 5 daughters-in-law. We have a big family. I don't know how to protect them.
This is why we have to win. Mark Milley is right. Donald Trump is the greatest threat to America today. But there's another menace we have to confront also. Even if Vice President Harris does win in November, even if we beat back Trump's authoritarian impulses, the threat isn't over. MAGA extremists will not accept a loss, certainly not if Trump continues to prey on their paranoia. We have already seen once, after Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden, that this fascist movement has enormous power over the elected Republicans we may have to count on to defend the outcome of the next election.
One of the most striking things in reporting this book was just how large the fear of political violence from Trump supporters looms in the psychology of a lot of elected Republicans. Romney told me about multiple Republicans he spoke to who chose not to vote for Trump's impeachment or conviction in the second trial because they were afraid of violence from Trump supporters. So it's not just Trump himself and the power that he can wield as president. It's the culture he's created among the most extreme segment of his base and the permission he's given them to use violence as a mechanism to achieve their aims.
I'll leave the last word to General Milley. I've been hard on him in the past for not being more outspoken and more public in his criticism of Trump, especially when we have other flag officers like Stan McChrystal going all the way and endorsing Kamala Harris. But Milley has said his piece, and we will do everything we can to convey to voters between now and November what Donald Trump's most senior military advisor thinks of him. Here is General Mark Milley with a damning indictment of his former boss and a reminder of the sacredness of the oath of office that we both swore.
We are unique among the world's militaries. We don't take an oath to a country. We don't take an oath to a tribe. We don't take an oath to a religion. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. We don't take an oath to an individual. We take an oath to the Constitution, and we take an oath to the idea that it's America, and we're willing to die to protect it. Those values and ideas are contained within the Constitution of the United States of America, which is the moral North Star for all of us who have the privilege of wearing the cloth of our nation. It is that document that all of us in uniform swear to protect and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Those who sacrificed themselves on the altar of freedom in the last 2.5 centuries of this country must not have done so in vain. The millions wounded in our nation's wars did not sacrifice their limbs and shed their blood to see this great experiment in democracy perish from this earth. No, we, the American people, we, the American military, must never turn our back on those that came before us. And we will never turn our back on the Constitution. That is our North Star. That is who we are, and that is why we fight. Thank you, and may God bless our military, and may God bless the United States of America.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.